everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the Star Wars Galaxy Edge official Black Spire Outpost cookbook. After cooking polystarch portion bread last week, we're on to the entree, Yobshrimp Noodle Salad. First up, let's go ahead and tell the story for this one. Yobshrimp are small sea creatures native to the waters of Naboo. Nearly every species on that planet, from humans to Gungans, enjoys dining on these delectable fish decapods. While Yobshrimp are plenty abundant, there's still a certain amount of danger to fishing for fresh ones in the abyss. If you aren't careful, the enormous Opie and Kalo clawfish lurking in those depths will put you on the menu instead. Lucky for me, I found a Gungan willing to hook me up with a supply of them for a reasonable price. Though Yobshrimp can be prepared in countless ways, I like to highlight their freshness by marinating the slippery little fellas and tossing them into a cold noodle salad. We're going to try to do our impression of that here. As usual, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so let's head over in that general direction. As you can probably guess by the definite split of the ingredients, we have a two-part recipe involved with this. So first, we're going to need to make some vinaigrette for that, and for that, we're going to need half a cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of lime juice, a teaspoon of sugar, which is in this canister back here, a clove of garlic. I've got actually a fair amount of small cloves of garlic, so we're going to use 4 of them, a teaspoon of hot sauce, which I'm actually using, looks like Nando's Peri Peri sauce in medium, because anytime it says hot, that makes me nervous. And we're going to use, for the first time ever, half a teaspoon of Xanthan gum, which is supposed to be a thickening agent, but we'll find out what that's used for later. As for the noodle salad itself, we're going to need a pack of vermicelli rice noodles. This is probably, okay, this is 8 ounces where the recipe only wants 4. We've got the cooked medium shrimp. I'm going to have to let those defrost and take the tails off before we use them. Quarter of a red bell pepper sliced thin. I admittedly don't normally like peppers, but I'm going to try one at least as in part of this recipe. We're going to use carrots. These would be sliced thin. I'm going to use baby carrots and probably just slice them in half. I suspect that'll do the same job. The recipe calls for mushrooms, but I'm not going to use them because I absolutely hate mushrooms. We need half of a red onion that's going to be sliced thin, half a teaspoon of minced cilantro, and a pinch of salt. So with that, let's move into the kitchen and start on this recipe. Alright, so we've got the food processor in shop because we're going to need it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the ingredients for the vinaigrette. So we're going to start off with a half cup of low sodium soy sauce, which I've got right here. Easy does it. Okay, that can go back up. That there. 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Oh, easy does it. Okay. Pour that in. Put that in the fridge. Teaspoon of sugar. Oh, actually, it might call for, well, we'll use fresh garlic, but it might actually call for the spice minced garlic, but we'll go with fresh garlic, see how it works out. So I've got my garlic press right here. Trying not to get any of them. Okay. Alright. Okay, where did I put my... I had a fork that I was going to scrape some of the garlic off the press with. Okay, let me give that one more press. Okay, that should do. Get that out of the way. Then we'll take the teaspoon of hot sauce. Anytime something says hot sauce, it makes me a little bit nervous just because, again, I've made no bones about this in the past, but spicy and I don't get along. We'll see how this ends up turning out. Let's see, I believe this also goes in the fridge after opening, right? Yep. Must be refrigerated after opening. Okay, I can put that in the fridge. And finally, what do we want? Half teaspoon of xanthan gum. First time I've ever used xanthan gum, so we'll see what this does. Half teaspoon of that. We'll scoop that. We'll scoop that in. That can go back up as well. All right, then we want to puree this until it's smooth. So I'll cover that. And now here's your 5-second warning before I turn on the food processor, because it is going to get loud, so I want you guys to have a chance to either mute the sound, take off your headphones, whatever you need to do. Okay, why is it not moving? I'm actually going to turn the camera off, and we'll come back when this is actually ready to go. Apparently we're debuting a new segment as part of Mystical Munchies called Phoenix Flub-Ups. It would help if I put a blade in the food processor. That's why I wasn't doing anything earlier. Now that I figured that much out, I think we've got the vinaigrette to about where I want it to be. We'll just see if we'll see how smooth. I'll actually move that out of the way. I'm getting a little bit of a whiff, but I think it looks like it's going to be... Alright, let me lift the blade. I can't get a hold of it. It's too slick. There we go. Alright, now... I'm going to wash my hands off so I can hopefully get a little better grip on this. Alright, let's see how this comes off. Oh, there we go. Unscrews like that. Yeah, I think that will do the job rather nicely. So I'll transfer this to a small bowl. I'm actually going to turn over to the sink and do this so I don't pour any of the excess off. So that way in case I do end up pouring any off, it goes into the sink, which is going to be getting full of dishwater in about 5 minutes rather than over the countertop, which I'll have to clean separately. Oh, look at that. That is pouring out nice and smooth. Let me grab a spatula here. Wait, what am I doing? There's a spatula back here. See if I can maybe scoop, if I can maybe move a little bit more of this off to where I can actually pour it in. Okay. Container back over. I think we can get a little more there. Alright, Alright, that should be plenty, so I'll go ahead and cover that. We'll chill that, I'll go ahead and chill that in the fridge overnight. So it'll seem like the magic of it, so by the magic of editing, it'll seem like it'll be just a moment, but we're actually going to come back sometime tomorrow afternoon and finish this up. We're back from the overnight marinating on the vinaigrette. It's sitting in the fridge. It's going to stay there until I'm ready for it. The next thing we needed to do was we needed to bring a pot of water to a boil, which we've done. So I'm going to go ahead and add the noodles into the water. Carefully. So I've actually never handled rice noodles before, so this is going to be an interesting experience, but there are the rice noodles. Okay. Easy does it. There we are. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so looking at those individual noodles, these look like they're going to be very small. So I'm actually a little bit worried about how they're going to take to the... See if I can pour the rest of those out. There we are. I'm actually worried about how they're going to take to the strainer, because I'm looking at my strainer off shot, and it actually looks to be a little bit on the thick side. The holes look to be a little bit big, but I'm hoping that won't be too big of a problem. I will grab a wooden spoon out so I can keep a careful eye on these. Whoa. Okay, those softened very quickly. The recipe wants them to boil for 15 minutes. That seems like it's going to be a yeah right proposition. The wrapper, the actual noodles, say to cook for about 3 minutes. Where they're going, I have a sneaking suspicion these are going to be done very quickly. Let's just take a quick taste, if we can ever get like a couple. I don't want to get a whole big batch of them. Problem is these noodles are so small that they're just going to break up in a hurry. Those don't seem quite right, so we'll give them another couple of minutes. Yeah, they softened in there very, very quickly. If they stay as one big mess like that, I think they'll be fine when we move over to the strainer. But if they start coming out as like you would see spaghetti noodles, then I'm going to have a big problem. But like I said, we'll give these about another minute or two. See if I can get another couple out. I don't want a whole... I'm trying not to get a whole gigantic clump of them. Stir them up a little bit, but I'm expecting to be heading over to the strainer here any minute now. Alright, that's actually a decent sized noodle to check it with. So let's see how this is turning out. Okay, I'm thinking... Seems like these are going to be ready to head over to the strainer here pretty soon. I think we're probably about ready to head over to the strainer. So I'll go ahead and kill the burner, and we'll turn this carefully over toward the strainer. Grab the pot and pour it out. Okay, sorry for having my arm in shot. I just wanted to make sure the strainer, I just wanted to make sure everything got poured out. I could have poured toward the camera, but I usually don't like hot and sharp. I don't usually like pouring or pulling it toward myself. So let's see. It looks like we got. Okay, it looks like my worries about having them in the strainer were unfounded. I think I got more stuck in the pan than I did in the strainer. But next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to rinse these with cold water. Because this is supposed to be a cold salad recipe, cold noodle salad. I'm trying to get the noodles so that they're cold to the touch. That's what I'm going for here. Which I think we pretty much have that at this point. So right before anything else goes crazy, I can go ahead and shut the water off. And now we'll move back over to the counter. I had a bit of a minor crisis off camera where I was wondering if the vinaigrette had frozen solid on me overnight, but looks like it congealed, but I think it'll be fine. Well, it's not congealed, it is still moving around, so I think, like I said, I think we'll be fine. So now we're going to take the noodles carefully. I'm going to dump them into a bigger bowl here. So we've got the noodles, which are nice and cold to the touch. Then we'll take everything else. The shrimp, which I took the tails off of, but I bought cooked and peeled shrimp, but I had to take peeled and deveined, but I had to take the tails off, which looks like there's a tail that slipped through there, so that can go in the garbage. Carrots. Bell peppers, and I usually shy away from anything that has peppers because spicy is... I've made no bones about the fact in the past that spicy and I do not get along very well. So we'll see how peppers and I get along. I've always shied away from that at restaurants, but again, we'll see how this goes. Onions, which I sliced thin. And the aforementioned vinaigrette that sat and chilled overnight. Got all that in there. Okay, I think that's as much as I'm going to get out. Now I'll go ahead and toss all of this together. Ooh. Actually, I've got a couple of spoons for this purpose. Tossing it around the camera is going to be an interesting experience, but... Whoa! Okay, this is probably the part where the noodles being a big giant clump is going to cause some problems. So I'm just going to... I wanted to try to toss it with the 2 spoons, but I think I'm just going to be better off using 1. Alright. So I'm a little disappointed that the noodles ended up as one gigantic clump. I don't know if there's a way I can maybe break that up and make these noodles a little bit easier to handle, but I don't think I'm going to classify this one as a fail just based on that. Still, if somebody who's more aware of how to use rice noodles than me and than I am in the comment section below wants to weigh in, I will definitely be open to advice on how to use rice noodles better moving forward in the future. Because you never know when another rice noodle recipe might catch my eye. Might have just been the packaging too, but again, my first time ever using rice noodles, so yeah, I will just kindly shut up on that. That's actually not... For the noodles being a clump, they're actually not tossing together too badly. I'm definitely getting like a Chinese food vibe out of this, and Chinese and I are something else that, like a Chinese food, and that's another group of food that I've never really gotten along too much with, but probably just a matter of I need to eat more Chinese, but I think that is probably about the best I'm going to be able to do with it, so I will scoop myself out a portion, and then I'll see you guys back at my desk for the taste test. Scooping this out, as you probably saw in the kitchen, well actually, yeah, even just mixing it up, scooping this was an adventure and a half. I probably need some way to break up the clump of noodles. Maybe just use bigger noodles than rice noodles, but let's see how this turned out. So there are a couple things I want to sample. I'm going to sample the noodles, the peppers, and I want to see how the vinaigrette came out with the shrimp. So first for the pepper. The pepper seems spicy enough to notice, but largely probably don't need to be too alarmed by them. But let's go ahead and take a sample of the shrimp next and see how that turned out. At a glance, it sure seems like it's just the right amount of spice for me to get along with. Like I said, it's enough to notice, but really not enough to note and send me rushing for water. So let's see how the pasta itself turned out. See if I can get something that's not an obscenely gigantic clump of pasta. Most of it's breaking up because it's so weighted down. What a mess. But I think that's just the nature of using rice noodles. Apparently they're just really thin. Alright, looks like we got a piece of onion on here as well. I I don't generally like raw onion, but that's just me. I don't mind it when it's cooked into something. When it's raw like this, though, I tend to shy away from it. But let's see how this turns out. This is actually pretty good. I would consider using this recipe more often if A, shrimp wasn't so expensive, and B, it didn't involve a marathon overnight settling of the vinaigrette. But yeah, this is a pretty good recipe. I could see using this more when I don't mind sinking like a weekend into it. But that is this week's Mystical Munchies. Next week, we'll be making the dessert out of the Galaxy's Edge cookbook, Kawaki Crumb Cake. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.